Hi everyone, welcome back to QBO Tips. I took a short break last week in highlighting projects in QBO because of Thanksgiving, but I'm back and I'm here with part 3 of the project workflow. It's actually pretty easy. The biggest hassle in projects is determining, do you want to use it? How do I set it up? The actual workflow is fairly painless. Basically, all you need to do is tag all of your transactions to the project that it is associated with. Things like expenses, bills, time entries, journal entries, if you or your accountant make adjustments, would also be included there. One thing I would advise against, though, is trying to allocate all of your overhead expenses to individual jobs. Why? Well, because things like office rent, payroll expenses, marketing, tax preparation, all those overhead expenses are just what it costs to run your business. You'd have those costs regardless of if you are taking that new job or you're not going to take that new job. They're just underlying costs of your business. The whole point is that the costs that can be separately allocated to the jobs are done so, and you need to make enough over those costs in order to pay down your overhead and preferably make a profit, since I assume that's why you're in business. But I digress. Let's get on with linking those expenses to projects. Okay, I will run through a few different types of transactions and then kind of show you some reports. But first, I'm just going to navigate to the projects screen. You can see I have a couple of projects already out here. Um, I'll go into the test project because it's what we're going to work in today. And you don't need to be here to do any of the workflow, really. I just want you to see it as it populates some of this dashboard here. You can see I already have some time in for Emily over here. If I go to my time activity tab right here, I can keep drilling down and get more and more detail on what that time activity is, how much is billable, what it cost me. If I go back to the transactions tab, you can see I have a time charge. I can create an invoice off that already. You would have the same thing for billable expenses and things like that as well. At any rate, let's start with an expense. So there's a few different ways to do an expense because it is QuickBooks Online and there's multiple ways to do it. We'll start with just using the quick create button in its new location up here. So I'm going to do new and I'm going to do an expense, and let's say we're renting some equipment for $500. We have this customer project here. So this needs to be my test project. This is how you're tagging it to that job. Now, if this is something that I'm going to bill back out to the customer, say we're charging you X and then plus time and materials or something like that, you could check this box and it'll make it billable, which means it will show up as a separate line item on your invoice. It'll show them that I had this equipment rental and I'm passing the cost off to you, so you can do that. I'm not going to do that on this one, so I'm going to save close, and you can see my costs went up. Now the other way that you can do items for your project is this add to project up here in the corner. So if I do this one and I say do a bill, and let's just say Bob's Burger Joint. We're gonna we got meals here that we're going to make billable back out. See, when I did add to project from there, it automatically had my test project populate here. So that's just one way to do it. It automatically puts it in because I was in that project. It's going to fill that piece out for me. Save and close. The same thing, you can go from new over here and I can do a single time activity or a weekly timesheet, or I can just do add to project and add some time to the project. It kind of depends on how you're keeping time, what you're doing for your payroll, things like that. But let's say he had design. We'll make this one billable just an hour. Save and close. Alright, so now you see my costs have increased on this project. So that's what you do to get all your costs in, and the other piece is invoicing. Again, you can go from the quick create button up here and you can do an invoice for the project, or you can add to the project and create an invoice. And it's going to have my billable time and billable expenses in here for me to just bring right on in. So I can add all if I want. If I had something else going on in here, say some garden rocks cost me $500. I can save and close this. So now you notice that I have my income has populated here as well. Another thing you can do is you can add estimates to kind of keep track of what your contract amount was. So I could come in here and do an estimate, say they already accepted it, and I had some, an hour of design income, and I had 4 hours of install, and I had my $500 in rocks here. So then if I go over to my transactions, you'll see all these things. You'll see I do have an estimate that's been accepted for $815. I do have an invoice. I got my time charges. So this is all the things that are allocable to my project. And if this was all said and done and closed, I could complete the project. If it gets canceled, I can cancel the project. You can see up here I've got my profit margin. So a bunch of really cool things in the dashboard here. You can see my time activity. Now it has John over here, and it's not just Emily. And then we have our project reports. So we can have our profitability report over here. So that's going to show me what my income is and how that's flowing through. Here's my 825. Here's my expenses that I have. And right now it's not including the labor piece to this. It doesn't have that yet. You can have your time cost. And it just runs a report. Here's all the time costs I have in it. Here's my cost. Here's my billable rate. Here's my billable total. Other reports is unbilled. So if I had something that wasn't billed yet, let's just make some quick. So all your unbilled time and expenses. So if you had a number of these things going up, this would be where you could see, hey, is there anything here that we can still bill out that's missing that we forgot to bill to the project? So that's kind of the workflow 101, quick and dirty of how to use projects in QuickBooks Online. I hope that helps you guys out. Thanks for watching.